Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
A homosexual activist admits that so-called same-sex marriage isn't about, quote, marriage equality. It's about destroying the institution of marriage. Hi, I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me today in studio is Shawn Akers, Liberty Counsel's Vice President of Middle Eastern Affairs. Shawn, our friends at LifeSite News are reporting as of May 1st, conservative pundits are saying that a homosexual activist exposed the hidden agenda behind homosexual, quote, marriage when she told an audience last year that the movement is not seeking equality, but rather a total dismantling of the institution of marriage itself. Masha Gessen said this: "It's a no-brainer that homosexual activists should have the right to marry, but I also think equally that it's a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. Fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we are going to do with marriage when we get there, because we lie that the institution of marriage is not going to change, and that is a lie." Well, when you radically deconstruct and redefine the age-old institution of marriage, what marriage is and has always been, you do in fact undermine the institution of marriage. I've often put it this way. I've said that homosexual activists and the secular left, they don't want the white picket fence, Shawn. They want to burn down the white picket fence. And we have Masha Gessen, as well as a number of other homosexual activists who are actually, thankfully, being candid enough to admit that that is the case.
You know, we see that more and more, Matt, that as time goes on, more members of the far left are willing to come out and say out loud what has only been whispered in private up to this point. And we've mentioned Saul Alinsky before, but you really can't understand, I don't think, the big picture of what's happening here without understanding a little bit about Alinsky's tactics and worldview. You see, if you're going to fundamentally change society, and that's what this movement is built on, is the idea of change without that being very well defined. But if you're going to fundamentally change
or fundamentally transform a society, as President Obama has said.
That's correct.
Yeah.
What you have to do is be iconoclastic. It means attacking the icon. It means breaking down the things that were previously held valuable, and you have to replace them with something else. So when we ask ourselves, why are so many of the far left so preoccupied with taking the life of unborn babies and with attacking the sanctity of marriage and with socializing medicine and socializing the economy? Why are they so caught up in this? You have to ask yourself what's really going on. At the root of most of these things, you find that the traditional Judeo-Christian worldview that has undergirded everything that the United States has done or has been such a shaping force in the United States is up on the chopping block, and we're asking the questions. The far left is asking the questions. How can we attack that? How can we break down the past norms, the past values, the past morals, and replace them with something else? So if the past we said children should obey their parents, children should be sexually pure, children should read the Bible, children should operate according to a certain code of conduct, then we're going to go in and we're going to erase all of that we can. If in the past we said that human life is precious and that it's defined and given by God and that the state has no right to take it except in times of forfeiture under a legal due process, then we're going to go in and attack that thing because we're attacking the Judeo-Christianity under it. And at the root, many historians will tell you, Matt, that the nuclear family has been the base building block for every successful society in history. And that happens in the United States to be built firmly on the Judeo-Christian worldview. So if you really want to replace the past morals and the ruling ideology, what you're going to have to do is attack those things, neutralize those things, and replace them. So what you're pointing out is that many on the left now are coming out and admitting, yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Well, ESPN commentator Chris Broussard, I think, hit the nail on the head when he was asked about Jason Collins, NBA player who was at the end of his career, who has now rejuvenated his career by coming out of the closet and admitting that he's involved in the homosexual lifestyle. He said this, Chris Broussard said that he was in rebellion against God for celebrating and boasting about his homosexual sin lifestyle. So that's what this really boils down to. All of those things that you named that God calls good, they are trying to break them down. This is about rebellion against God. And what is marriage? As you mentioned, marriage is the fundamental cornerstone of any healthy society. Marriage is what it is: mom, dad, children. Now, parents can't always have children, but that is the institution of marriage we're talking about. And don't let people trick you with that red herring that says, well, how does gay marriage hurt your marriage? How does my gay marriage hurt your marriage? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the institution of marriage, trying to undermine, as the homosexual activists are admitting now, God's design for marriage, which incidentally, Shawn, as you know, is the metaphor for Christ and the church, for the relationship of Christ and the church. The church is the bride of Christ. So the enemy, Satan, hates the institution of natural marriage and wants to see it watered down. And what is central to so-called gay marriage? Homosexual sin. So therefore, gay marriage is in and of itself sin. And so if they can get the government to put its official stamp of approval on counterfeit same-sex marriage, then that is the government shaking its fist at God and saying, we know better than you do. And Shawn, I often use the analogy, if you introduce counterfeit money into commerce, what happens to the dollar, to the value of the dollar? It devalues it. Well, if you insert counterfeit marriage into society, what happens to the institute of legitimate marriage? It devalues the institution of legitimate marriage. That's exactly what Masha Gessen is saying they are trying to accomplish, and in fact, that is what they are accomplishing.
We've said for quite some time that the United States is at a crossroad and that this really is an ideological battle over the future of the United States, of how we define ourselves as a people, how we define ourselves as a nation, how we define ourselves as a society. And that's what you're seeing played out, Matt, these are salvos over this war of how we are going to choose to live together in covenantal society. On one side of that, you have those that see that we've prospered under a Judeo-Christian worldview, and that it operates like the founder said, the laws of nature and nature's God, and that if you break those laws, the repercussions will be the same as breaking any other law of nature, like gravity. If you break the law of gravity, you are going to hit the ground. So you've got that on one side, and on the other, you've pointed out that we've got a group of individuals that would challenge there being any sovereignty over the sovereignty of man. Mm-hmm. And the real push there is not so much a war against conservatives or a war against religious people as much as a war against their God to say, you have no authority to define who we are. We'll define when life begins. We'll define what's moral and not moral. We'll define these things, and we don't need you in our lives. The problem comes in, Matt, is when that translates from being an individual choice on the behalf of sinful people, which all of us are, to endorsed governmental policy. Mm-hmm. That's when things become complicated.
Well, folks, ultimately what we're seeing here is a war against truth. We are seeing the lies of the enemy elevated to be considered truth. And who is truth? Truth is not just a thing. Truth is a person. Truth is the person of Jesus Christ. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. And if they can attack truth and undermine truth by calling marriage something that it is not, then they attack Jesus Christ, and in their minds, I think, undermine the truth of Christ. I encourage you to go to lc.org, Liberty Counsel's website. Ask for Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Ask for his book, Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk. Regrettably, everything that Matt Staver predicted in that book is coming to pass. It's Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk. Go to lc.org or call us 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.